The time is now 6 p.m. Our regular City Council meeting for August 2nd, 2022 is now in session. Councilman Hayward will lead us with the opening prayer and the pledges of allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas. Please rise.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today thanking you for allowing us to all arrive here safely without any incident or accidents, and we're all safe and sound and happy. Dear Lord, I want to thank you for allowing us to have this sweetheart reception so that we can show the girls our much appreciation for everything that they were doing and representing the city. We pray that they're very successful as they go forward in their endeavors in the rest of their lives, and we look forward to seeing how they progress. And Lord, we come asking you to just help us as we go through with we knowing that things in this country are going a little haywire, and we're in a recession, and there may be some within our midst that are dealing with this, and we pray that they can get through this and we can get through this as a nation. We pray that those that are in war-torn areas you can put your armor protection around and keep them safe, and hopefully this madness can be over soon. Lord, we also want to thank you for all of the city staff that comes and puts in a good hard day's work and get the city going in the right direction. And we just need to keep it going and the momentum going smoothly so that our residents know that they are what's important to us moving forward. Now I ask you to watch over us and guide us, and when we leave here this evening, to just keep your strong arm protection around us and keep us safe. It's these blessings in your son's name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Councilmember Hayward. First on the agenda is the Mayor Pro Temp oath of office. Our City Secretary, Brenda Dennis, will administer the oath of office to Councilmember Hayward as our next Mayor Pro Temp. Ms. Dennis?
Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Allison Hayward,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the City of Schertz Mayor Pro Tem
of the City of Schertz Mayor Pro Tem
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States,
and of this state, so help me God.
of this state, so help me God.
Congratulations. Okay.
Congratulations, Mayor Pro Temp. On that, I will give you the listing for the hearing of residents. We'll move on to employee recognitions and introduction of new employees. First, we have EMS.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Dr. Brown. Tonight I have 5 new employees. I got one that's actually coming in on the street to introduce to you tonight. First up, I got Joshua Mahalik. I never pronounce it right. Josh started with us on July 18th of this year. He completed his classroom orientation last week. He grew up in Ludwigshafen, Germany, and currently lives in Cibolo. Graduated from Clemens High School and attended the Schertz EMT Academy. He's currently studying criminal justice at San Antonio College. This is his first EMS job. He enjoys mountain biking, fitness, and has a growing interest in public safety. So welcome, Josh, to the EMS department.
I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what to say. I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to be able to work for the city that I love so much. Ever since I moved here, since I was a young kid, I always knew I wanted to be in public safety. So it's an honor to be serving y'all. Thank you.
Welcome, Joshua. Welcome to our team.
Thank you so much.
Next up this evening, I have Abigail Gentry. She also started on July 18th and completed our classroom orientation. She grew up in the Schertz and Pleasanton areas, currently resides here in Schertz. She went through our EMT Academy also here in Schertz, and currently is enrolled in a paramedic program, so hopefully she'll be completing that for us soon. This is her first EMS job, and she also works full-time at Randy G's Ice Cream Shop right next door, which is owned and operated by her family. So welcome, Abby, to the city.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited to start my EMS career with Schertz. I plan on staying here through paramedic school and hopefully as a paramedic, so thank you.
Welcome. Welcome to our team.
Next up this evening, I have Dorian Lopez. She's a paramedic with us. She also started in July, completed our orientation. She grew up south of Waco, lives in Seguin with her husband and daughter. She attended San Antonio College to obtain her paramedic certification, been in EMS now for about 5 years. And as I said, she is currently married with 1 child. So welcome, Dorian.
Hi, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I did a lot of my write-outs here with Brandon, actually, and have been excited to come work for y'all ever since I graduated, so it's been an honor.
You're welcome.
Next up, I have Paige Everett. She's also a paramedic that started in July. She grew up in the Del Rio area, currently lives in San Antonio. She attended the University of Texas Health Science Center here in San Antonio to obtain her paramedic certification. She's been in EMS for about a year now, and in her free time, she likes to spend time with her dog named Kevin. So welcome, Paige.
Completely understand. That's the way I felt when I first came up here. Welcome, welcome all of you to our team.
And he comes in on cue, which is perfect. So he's actually working on a truck today. So Ian Shaw, he's a paramedic with us. He started in July as well. He grew up in Kyle, moved to Minnesota for a while, and has now come back to San Antonio and lives in San Antonio currently. He attended the University of Colorado, the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and San Antonio College. He holds a master's degree in bass trombone performance. Is that right? All right. Ian has been in EMS for about 12 years. He's married and has a 10-year-old daughter. He enjoys outdoor sports such as running and cycling. So welcome, Ian, to the city.
Welcome. Mike's yours.
Hi, appreciate the opportunity to meet everybody and kind of to come back full circle here to Schertz. I did some ride-alongs here when I was in paramedic school and had a great time doing that, and always thought that this would be a great place to work if we stayed here. And so I'm super excited to see that happen. So thank you.
Well, welcome. Welcome to our team. Next, we have inspections.
Mayor, Council, Dr. Brown. Tonight, I bring you Alana Sumner, who has started July 5th with us. Alana is a native Texan who recently relocated back to Texas after spending the last 22 years in Colorado Springs. Prior to working for the City of Schertz, she worked for the City of Colorado Springs as an administrative assistant for the Public Works Department, working with the right-of-way team. Alana was sad to leave her team in Colorado Springs, but is looking forward to bonding with her new team at Schertz. Alana says she enjoys getting together with her family and just hanging out at home. She enjoys being creative, making handmade cards, and baking, which I can attest to is very good.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm happy to have the opportunity. I have a lot to learn, but I am definitely willing to take up that challenge.
Welcome to our team. Next, we have IT.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm really very pleased to introduce to you two of our newest members of the IT department. First of all, I introduce you to Brittany Hughes. She is a military offspring in the Air Force, moved to Schertz in 2001, went to Clements High School. She has 4 children. Her hobbies are working out in the gym, yoga, and painting. So we have a new side venture we're opening up at the IT department. May I introduce Brittany?
I'd like to thank you all for this opportunity. I'm grateful to be here and to be able to show you guys all my talents.
Welcome to our team, and thank you for setting up my computer, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, you'll get to know all of the team eventually very well. Next is Oscar Medina. Oscar was born in San Antonio, grew up in Laredo, went to Texas A&M in Kingsville, has a bachelor's degree in music and teacher certificate. I want to point out that both of my new hires are teachers. So they're going to teach us how to behave properly. They did a lot of work with kindergartners, I understand, which was a requirement for the job, just saying. Oscar moved to Bulverde in 2020 and then moved back to San Antonio. His hobbies are building computers, which is a good thing for a computer guy. Plays jazz, bass, and likes to play retro video games. Oscar?
Just like to say thanks for the opportunity. It's been a real pleasure meeting a lot of you while we were working on building number 2. It's been great working with the department with a vast amount of experience and looking forward towards the next few days. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and welcome to our team. Next, we have Parks.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight, I am pleased to introduce to you 2 new employees. Ms. Cassandra Paddock will go first, otherwise known as Cassie. She's our new recreation manager, oversees the recreation and special events for the department. She's joining us from the city of New Braunfels. We were happy to steal her away. She was the recreation supervisor there. She's originally from Iowa. She attended the University of Iowa for 4 years before moving to Texas and finishing her bachelor's degree in management from the University of Phoenix. She is an active member in the state and national organizations. She is chair-elect for the National Recreation and Park Association's Young Professionals Network, very prestigious. And she's the professional development chair for Texas Recreation and Park Society's Future and Young Professionals branch. As you can tell, very engaged. She's also a member of the 2022 TRAPS Dr. Michael N. Lord Leadership Academy, and she was selected as an NRPA 30 under 30 recipient this year. Her favorite recreational activities include sand volleyball, kayaking, and trivia. We're so happy she joined our team.
Thank you. I've been here about a month now, and I've really enjoyed getting to know the team here and look forward to meeting all of you at the community events and getting to serve Schertz and its citizens.
Welcome to our team, Cassandra.
Next, I want to introduce Mr. Paul Rodriguez. He's been with us about 2 months. You might have seen him out and about in the parks. Paul is our part-time park maintenance tech. Mostly works at Pickle Park and the community playscape on the weekends. Paul says his most satisfying thing to do is make people smile and laugh, helping people who are in need and saving injured animals. All good traits for our job. His hobbies are music, art, camping, skating, and building. He's interested in God, science, engineering, outer space, the ocean, and caves. His goal is to continue to educate himself and start his own business one day and support his family. We're happy you're here, Paul.
Thank you. I was raised here in Schertz, right there at the Valverde Apartments. I'm 36 years old now and can't seem to leave here. I love it here, and I'm excited for the future of Schertz. Let's see what happens in the future. So.
Well, thank you for what you do in our parks, and welcome again to our team. We'll move on to Public Works.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, Mark Brown. Thank you. This afternoon, I would like to introduce y'all to Daniel Harris. He's been with the city now for a little over a couple months. He really enjoys going home at the end of the day with the feeling that he's really, earned his paycheck at the end of the day. A couple things a lot of people may not know about him is he has a first-degree brown belt in Chinese Kempo. He also enjoys watching Manchester City football, or as we would know it, soccer. His dream vacation, he says, would be Antarctica because it would be nice and quiet there.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to our team, sir. Next is Police Department. No, we have Public Works. Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I will be introducing Randall Clark. He's one of our worker twos. He's been here for about 2 months. He comes with us with great experience in heavy machinery, with asphalt and also with concrete. Randy Clark's first job was actually working at the wash tub, and he finally realized that he grew up, and not grew up, but he wanted to do something a little different. So he said, I'm going to want to do heavy machinery. So he worked for the city of Marion. He was over there for about 5-6 years. That's where he picked up on the heavy machineries, the loaders, maintainers. He's actually likes landscaping. That's one of his hobbies. So he does a lot of landscaping around his house. He's a baseball player, so his favorite team is actually the Boston Red Sox. His vacation has always been just going to the beaches. His favorite subject in school has always been history. He's a big history person, from outer space to whatever else comes along. One of his favorite things for relaxation is actually just reading a good book and hanging out at home. So here's Randy Clark.
Good evening. I would like to take this time to thank the City of Schertz for hiring me. I am a native from Marion, just down the road. I'm sure Demetrio just told you. And I look forward to helping Schertz, the City of Schertz, as a worker too, any way I can. Thank you.
Well, welcome, sir. Welcome to our team. And next, we have the Police Department.
Good evening. Today I have Vanessa King. She started with the Schertz Police Department on July 18th this year. She's new to law enforcement community, and she previously was a manager at Walgreens and at Chick-fil-A. Vanessa was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and graduated from Team Inglewood High School, and she also attended Northern Illinois University. She's married to her high school sweetheart, Isaiah, in July of 2016, and they have a daughter, Ava, who is 5, and a son, Ivan, who's 3. They moved to Selma, Texas in August of last year, so her husband could attend Hallmark University, which he graduates from this fall. Vanessa's father-in-law was an officer in New Orleans, Chicago, and for Amtrak, and that is how Vanessa's interest in law enforcement began. She loved to swim and spend time with her family, and she has a bucket list item to do hog hunting from a helicopter.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Welcome to our team. We'll continue with events and announcements. Announcements of upcoming events. Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This Friday, August 5th, will be the council budget retreat. It'll be in the Bluebonnet Hall in the Schertz Civic Center, 8 a.m. to about 3 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. On Tuesday, August 9th, will be our next regularly scheduled city council meeting at 6 o'clock here in the council chambers. And finally, election information. So filing for place on the ballot has begun for the November 8th, 2022 City of Schertz joint general election to elect a mayor and council members in places 1 and 2 for a 3-year term from November 2022 and ending November 2025. Filing ends August 22nd, 2022 at 5 p.m. Candidate packets are available online on the city's website and can also be obtained in the city secretary's office, 1400 Schertz Parkway, Building 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. All right. Announcements and recognitions by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Announcements and recognitions by the mayor. I have a couple of items I'd like to. First of all, thanks to the Parks and Recreation, the individuals that put in the Guam Liberation Celebration could not they were just overwhelmed with the assistance that you provided. And we appreciate that. I think there was close to 4,000 individuals in that park, and it was a great event. Thank you for helping them out. Next, I wanted to bring caution to everyone. It is hot out there, And I heard that a friend of mine lost their son with heat exhaustion, and we have to be very careful with, know your limitations, and please, try to, if you feel sick, take cover, anything you can do, but please be very cautious. It is hot. And speaking of the heat, it has dried up the ground quite a bit. Some of these holes are big enough where you can twist an ankle, and some of them I've seen as far as 3 feet deep. So if you're walking in the parks or an open field, you have to be cautious. So just want to bring that up to you so that you can be careful out there. Okay, we'll move on to hearing the residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the City Council. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, and we ask before addressing the council, for the record, please state your name and address. Mayor Pro Tem, please call the first speaker.
The first speaker is Ms. Barbara Gonzalez.
I just want to point out that Mr. Gonzalez signed up right behind her, so she will be allowed to speak for 6 minutes. Ms. Gonzalez?
Good
Name and address, please.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here in the heat, and because I think it's probably close to 102 degrees. My husband and I volunteered to do a drainage study. You got a brown envelope with a 29-page set of pictures. We went on Maskey Road, Windy Meadows. We went on Commercial Place, Neldine, Pecan. And we took pictures of the surface drains. We didn't see any drainage that went under the ground. We just saw surface drainage. Now, the reason we're interested in this is because the people who have businesses on Pecan and Ira, and also one particular business on Neldine, are getting a lot of runoff from the new businesses that the city is gradually allowing to build up on those streets. For instance, Neldine, if you look at your booklet, all the pictures under the number 15 are of businesses. They're built anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 feet above the road. All of that used to be flat land. All that water comes down through 2 corridors. Every few months, there's a new building built. The last one is on Maskey, on number 1 on your booklet. You'll see the picture of a road that's being graded at right degree angles to Maskey, and it goes really far back. It goes behind the 116 Windy Meadows complex that is huge. There's no drainage on Maskey. They've just started it. They put a huge pile of gravel like they think it's going to be a French drain. They put an EPA sign that says the different kinds of things that they're aiming to do while they build. If you look, there's going to be two corridors. The corridor that affects us, because we're at 124 Ira in the old batting cages, is the one that comes from the street drains nearest Oak Street. And you'll see them, there'll be a drain. They don't go in the ground. They just channel the water onto the street. The street collects the rain. It sends it down this long corridor that ends at the old plant nursery. The city currently has road materials stored there. It comes across the 1.2 acres between me and Pecan, and it comes to Ira, to 124 Ira, the old batting cages. The other corridor for water is a swale that comes on the Schertz side of 1518. Water comes off of 1518, I imagine. The swale is shallow. You can tell it's on your pictures. I'll say it's between the stop sign and the light pole. And you can see that swale is filling up. That water comes down Pecan and Ira, and that has started since 2014. That's a serious problem because sometimes there's a foot of water coming down. Now, the business owners, we've talked to some of the business owners, are concerned because some of them want to expand, and they might want to buy a house behind the building that they're in, but they're worried about the water. We're concerned about the water because we leased our property to a man for 5 years. And we found out that because we have leased it to a business that is not a batting cages, that we have to do a water study. And that's a FEMA thing. Now, we haven't changed any of our structure since we operated as a batting cage. We've actually taken things down. We have followed city compliance. We put up screening. We added maybe 8 4x4s, but we also took down 2 ramps, so we kind of get some structural credit there. Now, the water was bad before 2014. We would find potted plants behind us after a rain, and they would come 1.2 acres across in the water. We have noticed that since 2014, people who rented our grandfathered apartment have mentioned that there's a lot of water down at the bottom. Now, if you take surface water or storm water and you don't channel it from the floodplain into pipes that go someplace else, I know you've got to deal with the Corps of Engineers in Cibolo Creek. It's not fair to take our little business neighborhood and make us the retention pond. There's a lot of floodway in Schertz. It goes through the batting cages. It comes off Cibolo Creek. If there's going to be a flood, there's a lot of things that are going to be affected. It goes around City Hall. It goes up to this is the floodway. This is the part that you're not supposed to put water in. It goes up to the post office. It's the old Dietz Creek that goes down past the new houses, past the new modular houses that are built over there. So it's a serious thing. There needs to be some planning. People need to get together and work on it. Our attention was called to it because of the water study that we are trying to work with the city on.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I didn't realize it was 6 minutes already.
Yes, it has been 6 minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda items. They're considered self-explanatory, and information packets are provided to council and available for public viewing. These items require no separate discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting on July 26, 2022. Item number 2, resolution number 22R77. A resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to reject all bids received from the Schertz Soccer Complex water storage and well improvements and other matters in connection therewith. Council, does any of these items need to be removed for separate discussion? Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 and 2?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilmember Brown, am I mistaken? Oh, Councilmember Brown, and second by Mayor Pro Tem Hayward. Any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Just like to mention that Councilmember Whitaker is joining us on the video, and that's why we have 6 and not 5 that are present up here on the dais. All right. So we'll move on to discussion items. Item number 3, ordinance number 22B32. An ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Schertz, Texas General Obligation Bonds, Series 2022, levying a continued direct annual Alivarian tax within the limitations prescribed by law for the payment of the bonds, prescribing the forms, terms, and conditions, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, sale, and delivery of the bonds, including the approval and distribution of an official statement pertaining thereto, authorizing the execution of a paying agent register agreement and a purchase contract, complying with the provisions of the Depository Trust Company's letter of representation, authorizing the execution of any necessary engagement agreements with the city financial advisors, and providing for an effective date. This is our first and final reading. Mr. Walters, the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is James Walters. I'm the Finance Director for the City of Schertz. I'm going to give a brief overview of this item as well as the next item because they kind of go hand in hand. So the city went out for a couple of bonds in accordance with our long-term debt plan, our debt model, and our CIP. So what we have tonight is the funding for 1518, the city's remaining portion that will go to TxDOT to kick off that roadway. We also have the voter-approved Fire Station 4 construction bonds. We also have what we had talked about previously at the Notice of Intent resolution passing. We're starting money for Main Street improvements, and then as well as some water and sewer improvements that were also included in their rate study that we did. So all the bonds that were issued on behalf of water and sewer were included in the last rate study we had concluded. Now these bonds were slightly different than we had previously. We normally have a competitive sale where we just kind of announce the amount we have. We announce a little financial information as well as our bond rating, and different underwriters from across the nation then turn around and bid for the best interest rate or the lowest interest rate. And we take the lowest interest rate for the city of Schertz. This year with the volatility in the market, SAMCO, our financial advisors, thought it would be best if we took the slightly different approach and go with the negotiated sale. That's where we choose some underwriters first and then turn around and use them to do a little more research on us, go out and actually find buyers. So the underwriters actually buy our bonds and turn around and subset it out, because there's not usually one entity that wants to hold 10, 20, $30 million of a particular bonding product. So underwriters will buy it first and then split it up later. That's how the competitive sale works. They buy it first from us, and when they win the bid, they turn around and sell it after the fact. And they hope they can sell it at a better interest rate, actually make some money. So if they guess wrong whenever they do a competitive sale, it would be on the underwriters to kind of make up the difference. Here in the competitive sale, basically the underwriters went out for us and lined up some buyers and then put in a good interest rate based on what they can sell and what they see in the market. So it's kind of a reverse item. I have SAMCO and Andrew Friedman with SAMCO. He's going to go over the results of the negotiated sale, as well as a little bit more information on how a negotiated sale works, what that means for us, and why we went to it this time around. We did the negotiated sale for both the COs and the GOs, so both items tonight were the same method. So with that, I'll hand it over to Andrew.
Thank you very much. Andrew Friedman with Samco Capital Markets, the financial advisor to the city. Gentleman passing out this short presentation to you all is Mark McCliney's not here. Ryan Cunningham, old habits. Mr. Walters did a great job of explaining the method of sale and in relation to the debt issuances before you for approval this evening. So I did want to go through for your benefit and provide some context as to what a competitive bond sale is, what a negotiated bond sale is, and why on earth we would consider a different method of sale when competitive bond sales have worked so well for the city in the past. Certainly, right off the bat, I would tell you that a competitive bond offering is our, at Samco, as your financial advisor, preferred method. In times of market stability, when interest rates aren't going up and down as much as we've seen throughout much of 2022, you've got a lot of interested investment banks who are the bond underwriters, bond purchasers, who historically have bid on Schertz's offerings. Since 2014 was the last negotiated bond offering that the city did. So we've done many competitive issues. Typically we would get 8 to 10 bids. when we do that. And what that tells you is we've got a lot of people looking at and considering and wanting to purchase our debt, and it ensures that we're getting the best interest rate in the market that day. Well, what happens when we enter a period of high volatility, which is what we've seen throughout much of 2022. Interest rates have been on the rise as a result of inflation, global conflict in Ukraine, and then part and parcel to all of that, the Federal Reserve's been taking action to try to get a handle on the economy. So what that's done is effectively make bond purchasers more nervous because we've seen interest rates swinging up and then coming back down over and over again throughout the year. What that means for a competitive bond offering is you've got less banks showing up to bid. Where we've historically gotten 8 to 10 bids, we had bond sales earlier in the year where all of a sudden you were getting 2 bidders, and where we would normally see a spread between those bids in the hundredths or even thousandths of a percent between the first place and the second place bid. Between the 2 bids that we were now getting might be a spread by as much as 5 or 10 basis points, which is very substantive. And so it gives us less confidence that the competitive method is the way to go. Mr. Walters referenced that we're seeing that in that competitive sale environment, the purchasers buying those bonds from you and then turning around and selling them. That's true for negotiated sale also, but when they're doing that at competitive sale, in a volatile market, not knowing whether or not they're going to be able to sell them, they're building in a much larger bond underwriting spread to their bid. So what we've historically seen, and is held true for the city's most recent bond sales, is you'd see an underwriting spread on a competitive sale maybe as low as $4 or $5 in some cases, as recently as our 2022 CO offering. Well, all of a sudden we were seeing bid spreads, the underwriting spread on those competitive bids, out to $19, almost $20. So the underwriter, the bond purchaser, was saying, we're taking big risk here, not knowing if we're going to win this issuance and if we'll be able to sell them at these levels. So they built in even more money for themselves, not knowing if they could get the deal done at the levels that they were bidding. All of that leads to a higher interest cost for the city. So for those reasons, we visited with senior staff, had lots of meetings, provided lots of qualitative data points to that effect, and jointly determined that a negotiated sale probably made the most sense given the volatility in the market. Negotiated sale method works as the city selects an underwriter or a group of underwriters to work with on a given bond transaction. Now, there's lots of different ways to come up with who you would want to work with, and I'm going out of order here as I talk between this presentation, but the bond underwriters that you would want to work with, are chosen on a variety of factors. Who's been supporting the city in previous bond offerings? Who's calling on you? Well, in the case of the city, Raymond James in the last 3 years has bought 2 bond issues at a competitive sale from us, and Baird bought the bond sale most recently issued in 2022. Then in addition to that, you want to consider who's out there, who's the most qualified investment bank in the market. So we look at what's called a league table, or a ranking of those bond underwriters that are underwriting and buying bonds similar to the city of Schertz. So Texas city underwriting rankings for the first 6 months of 2022. We looked at those rankings. Raymond James, Baird, and Frost are among the top 5 bond underwriters. And so Baird and Raymond James being ranked number 1 and number 2 in the state, and given that they have bought and supported the city in the past, makes sense to underwrite these issues. Frost Bank being highly qualified and being a locally headquartered investment bank made sense to bring their local knowledge. They've got a large customer base here that they can work to sell bonds for, rounded out the underwriting team that we recommended to the city. So those 3 firms to serve as the underwriters for both these GO bonds and these COs. It's important when you're looking at that to see, one, we want to pick investment banks that are active in the market. They're working throughout the year. They've got their pulse on the market. They're in communication with their buyers, so we want to work with active folks. All 3 of those firms certainly fit fit that bill. Lastly, for your consideration, I've got the numbers for these GO bonds and these COs. I'm going to describe them together, but you can see here on the number run, which looks different than the PowerPoint presentation. We've got the combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation. Those are funding general fund projects as well as utility fund projects. You can see there under the uses section of this, but the bond par amount for those COs is $18,530,000. And then we've got the general obligation bonds funding the fire station at $15,450,000, and then the FM 1518 project at $4,395,000. The COs will be paid in part from general obligation ad valorem backed tax rate, and then from the utility system, repaid over the course of 20 years with a 10-year call option. And then the GO bonds also sold over a 20-year period, amortized over a 20-year period with a 10-year call option. And then lastly, I would direct you to the bond summary statistics. The true interest cost, which is roughly the average interest rate for this borrowing, came in for both issues at 3.43%. Particularly excited about that. We've been in a period of generally rising interest rates. We've seen them since the Fed's action last week where they raised their Fed funds rate 75 basis points. We've seen long-term interest rates come down as a result. The Fed's action leads market participants to think a recession is coming, and what happens when a recession comes, interest rates ultimately go down. So we've been the beneficiary of that, if for nothing but more than just good luck and good timing to be able to sell our bonds into this market. We'd been projecting an interest rate as high as 4%. So to come in at under 3.5% at that 3.43 mark, very pleased with. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Well, thank you, sir. First of all, thank you for providing me an education between the difference of competitive and negotiating bonds. It was certainly new to me when I first saw it, and I couldn't grasp the difference, how these two were different. As you mentioned, the last time we did negotiating bond was back in 2014.
Yes, sir.
One thing you didn't point out is the spread on page 4. The spread is per 1,000. I think that's a discussion that we had made. It's the spread is 750 or 1943 per 1,000, right?
Yes, sir. And that was on a competitive sale. I've got, it's not in your numbers, but it's in the full set of numbers here in my packet. The spread for these issuances, and they're roughly the same, comes in at $5.76 per bond. So we're well under even what I would say the normal historical negotiated per bond spread of $7.50 is, and it's closer to really what we've seen in competitive bond sales. So very pleased with that, and certainly to be well under that threshold that we were seeing on the competitive sales earlier in 2022, where they were in the $20 down to maybe $12 to $15 range.
Thank you. Council, floor is open for discussion. Councilmember Dalla.
Just one quick question, kind of a curiosity thing. With the three that you chose there, the allocation of the bonds, how are you going to divide that up between the three vendors?
Between those three underwriters?
Yeah.
The senior manager, which is R.W. Baird, they're called the senior book runner, senior manager. They keep control of the order book. So as a result of that, and they've got, most of the orders will flow through them in this process. They've got a 50% stake in the transaction with 25% and 25% going to the co-managers, and they share in the liability in that same way as well. Should bonds not be sold, they're each required to accept their liability for the bonds at the prices underwritten here.
All right, thank you for that. And 3.43% is a pretty good deal. Right
Yeah,
now,
I was
sounds like.
surprised.
Thank you for all the work you guys do.
Council, any other comments?
And just, again, very impressed with the interest rate, so that's good.
There is a specific motion that needs to be made. Would one of the council members like to make that motion?
Mayor, I I move that the City Council adopt an ordinance authorizing the City of Schertz, Texas General Obligation Bond Series 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion made by Councilmember Dallas, second by Councilmember Brown. Any other comments? Councilmember Whitaker? Just, no? Okay. Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objection. Motion passes. There is a small delay on time. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 4. Ordinance number 22B33. An ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Schertz, Texas Combination Tax and Limited Pledge Revenue Certificates of Obligation Series 2022A, providing for the payment of said certificates by the levy of an ad valorem tax upon the taxable property within the city, and further securing said certificates by a lien on and pledge of the pledged revenues of the system, providing the terms and conditions of said certificates, and resolving other matters, incidents, and related to the assurance, payment, security, sale, delivery of said certificates. Lost my place, including the approval and distribution of the official statement pertaining thereto, authorizing the execution of a paying agent register agreement and the purchase of contract, complying with the requirements of the letter and the representations previously executed with the depository trust company, authorizing the execution of any necessary engagement agreement with the city's financial advisors, and providing an effective date. This is also our first and final reading. Floor is yours, sir.
Nothing really to add here. Covered much of this certificate of obligation under the last item, but again, this is a 20-year financing, 10-year call option at a fixed interest rate. Again, because the bonds are so similar to the COs, roughly at 3.43% interest over that term as well. These will be supported in part by your ad valorem tax and in part by the utility system, and we'll be able to provide Mr. Walters and staff the breakout of that debt service, so each fund is paying for a proportionate share of the improvements.
Thank you. This is just to show that item number 3 was a GO and item number 4 was a CO, and that's why they're read separately, if I'm
And they
not
are
mistaken.
separate securities.
And they're separate securities, but we're combining them over there. Yes. Council, any comments? There's also a specific motion for this one. Would one of the council members like to make that motion?
I move that the City Council adopt an ordinance authorizing the City of Schertz, Texas Combination Tax and Limited Pledge Revenue Certificates of the Obligation Series 2022A.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Haywood and second by Councilmember Brown. Any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
All right, we'll move on to item number 5, ordinance number 22T34. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget to provide funding for construction related to the Corbett Ground Storage Tank, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, and providing an effective date. Floor is yours.
Hello, how are y'all? So this is for a budget adjustment for the Corbett Ground Storage Tank. Currently, $4.2 million needs to be allocated for this specific project. We have received congressional funding for $3.5 million, which will lead to a complete project funding of $7.7 million. Are there any questions?
Thank you. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Once again, this was $7.7 million, federal funding of $3.5, our portion is $4.2.
That is correct. And if this first reading passes, the second reading will be at the next council meeting, along with the construction contract awarded to the lowest bidder, if acceptable by council.
Before I ask for the motion, I'd like to go ahead and congratulate or thank Congressman Vicente Gonzalez for the $3.5 million
Absolutely.
of funding. Thank you, thank you, Congressman. Council, do I have a motion to approve ordinance number 2234?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, second by Councilmember Brown. Any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Item number 6, SSLGC contract revenue bonds. Discussion and consideration of forthcoming Schertz Seguin Local Government Corporation plan to issue up to 4.5 million contract revenue bonds, new series 2022. All right, council. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you all very much. Andrew Friedman again with Samco Capital Markets. The briefing for you all this evening relative to the Schertz Seguin Local Government Corporation, and Mr. Cunningham here is passing out a timetable for a contract revenue bond to fund planning and design for SSLGC's next project. Ms. Beard is here in the audience for any of the engineering and project-related questions. I'm a finance and a numbers guy, but not an engineer. But essentially, the Executive Committee of SSLGC is recommended to move forward with $4.5 million financing. Again, SSLGC's projects and debt are split 50-50 between the cities of Schertz and Seguin. So this $4.5 million in that same method would be paid for in that way. SSLGC last week approved parameter sale for the sale of these bonds. The next action items are for the cities of Schertz, City Council, and Seguin. City Council to ratify that action and approve that parameter sale to proceed with the financing. This will be back before you on August 16th for that approval. After both cities of Schertz and Seguin have ratified that action, the plan is to price this $4.5 million on August 19th with funding to take place on September 21st, again for planning and design. The second page is a breakdown of debt service for, starting from the left side, the $4.5 million for this project, and then really for illustrative purposes only at this point on the right is a future financing for the project that we're doing preliminary engineering and design work on that is tentatively proposed to take place in 2025 for those pipeline projects. So again, this debt service will be worked into both cities' existing rate studies, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you have. Just like we approved the negotiated sales for the GO bonds and the COs, SSLGC has always sold its debt via the negotiated sale method, in large part because it's a unique issuer, and so this will be sold in that same method with parameter approval. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. I don't know, Ms. Beard's in the audience, and your bond attorney, Mr. Matt Lee, is also here that can speak to any of the legalese.
Thank you. Council, questions? Yes, Councilmember Dalla.
So just the one question is what exactly is the preliminary work? Is that only going to be design and engineering? Or does that include right-of-way? Or what is included in that?
I do know that it's preliminary engineering and design. I don't know if there we go, or I start saying the wrong thing.
Hello, Amber Beard, General Manager of SSLGC. So this $4.5 million is for preliminary design, right-of-way acquisition, topo surveys, all the environmental work that we need to do up front for the project.
Council, any other comments? I don't think we need a vote, but we just have a consensus to continue, right? Is there a consensus to continue with the...
There's no formal action on this item. The formal action item will be brought forth on the 16th of August for your consideration approval at that time.
I think there's a thumbs up to let's continue, move on, move forward. Any other comments? No comments?
Just real quick, Amber, thank you for your service, and we're wishing you best in your future endeavors.
Thank y'all so much. I'd like to thank the City of Schertz and the corporation and the City of Seguin for the opportunity to serve as general manager and assistant general manager over the last almost 7 years. So,
Well, best of luck.
thank y'all.
Yes,
I just wanted to
Member Pro Tem.
concur that, thanking Amber for her services and congratulate her on, her new adventure and much success.
All right, we'll move on to item number 7, ordinance number 22M40. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the City of Schertz Code of Ordinances and certain other ordinances by amending and establishing fees for certain licenses, permits, and other services provided by the City of Schertz. This is our first reading. Mr. Walters, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have the annual fee schedule proposal before you tonight. I'm just going to run through the changes real quick. The highlights and detail are in the agenda item as well. If you have any other questions that I can't answer, then we have representatives from the departments here in the audience ready to come up and help answer any questions you may have. First off is the magazine. The magazine rates haven't been raised since 2008 with the given printing cost increases, as well as, we don't have any trouble kind of finding advertisers. We think this is a long overdue adjustment, and not overly so that we're hurting our advertisers, but Linda would say we're not quite keeping up with the printing cost changes if this is the way we still want to go. I'll touch on the event facilities. So the kitchen fees increase. We just redid the kitchen. There's some more amenities and features to it. We think that warrants the increase in the kitchen use. The early open fee, this one goes from $25 to $200. It really puts a strain on staff when we have multiple events during a day to kind of rearrange the room and get multiple events ready. We want to make sure that our vendors really need that hour. It's not something they can come in and use up their current existing time for, if it means that much to them. We've also added 2 new features, a beverage tub, $75, and we have a private suite that we want to rent out now, $150. As for if you're getting married, it's kind of the bridal suite, getting ready, we've redone the room, so it looks really nice, and I think that could be a feature we advertise going forward. Discount special rates the day before setup, so instead of the early open fee, we have a day before setup if they need a whole lot more time in there. This is 50% of the regular room rate, only in the ballroom or the entire Civic Center, only the biggest rooms. This is for like the really big conventions, or the hot tub expo. They really need more time to get in there and set everything up, because that does take off an entire day prior on setup that we now can no longer rent out the room. There's also a between 10 and 15% increase throughout all of the regular room rentals. This is matching what we've seen in New Braunfels and other like areas, and we haven't raised rates since about 2018, so this is kind of keeping up with our cost as well, our cost recovery. With that, we still have the $50 discounts for the HOA and funeral reception, so those are only going up $25. We're also changing up and having a gym use fee, moving some other and consolidating some other fees. The community, this is just the community center to use the gym. So $25, we have a lot of folks want to use that. We think this is a fair compensation that they see elsewhere. Also the quality of life events, that's also the community center. This was kind of going with the gym use fee, so it's kind of replacing that one. We're not getting a lot of interest, and the time that we do get is a lot on staff to kind of come in just for $15 and get that ready and cleaned up. Other than that, you'll notice we'll remove like the Sunday half day, so Sunday will only burn out full days. Banquet packages, they're changing up that to only do on the weekends. Those are what it's being used for anyway. And then other than that, just really more clarification, we do have the audiovisual package has 2 screens and projectors, and with the new system we have in there, we think a $25 increase to use those is warranted. So all the comments I mentioned before kind of floats through all of the different items in here. Under city events, well, we're going to add the Signs of Love over to the Kick Cancer 1K, 5K, and also remove the 5K non-timed one rock section, so no fee for that one. Indoor volleyball didn't generate a lot of interest. We're going to remove that. And also, we didn't have the T-shirt decorating contest this last year, and we don't have that. We're not planning for that next year either. So we're going to move that fee from the schedule to kind of clean it up. You also see some group picnic areas, so we're renting out whole areas for larger groups. Those are new coming in. In the pools, you also notice the floating fireworks as well as Paul in the pool. Going to be added to the fee schedule, the regular kind of items. We're going to add the Veterans Memorial Plaza pavers, put that in the fee schedule. So instead of just doing it on a donation basis, we're going to put that as a regular stated fee inside our fee schedule. We're also moving the Senior Center membership back to the City of Schertz, since it'll be handled by us instead of the YMCA. So we're going to add the membership fees back into our schedule. Under the Health and Sanitation Division, the city code violation fee, it was listed as $10, but really that's set by the judge during municipal court, so it doesn't need to be stated here. It's just automatically set by the judge when they go in and see them. Under the fire, the flammable and combustible liquids, we're removing that. Don't be alarmed, that's just handled by the state now, so it's a little redundant to have us also make them come in and do a permit and going out and check. Now it's all handled by the state. EMS mileage, so the mileage is going up from $20 to $22 with some of the recent increases in fuel costs, as well as the per capita increase going from $15.79 to $16.10. The per capita is what the city charges each city, including itself, based on population to have an ambulance in that area and to serve that area. Under planning and zoning, clarification that appeals and requests will also include appeals and requests and changes to the comprehensive land use plan. It's really more of a clarification. Under the inspections division, the reinspection fee, they're going to a graduated schedule. So your first inspection, your first reinspection, $75. Second inspection, it's going to go from $100 to $150, and then everything after the second is $500. This is a steeply graduated fee. Staff is being used as quality control. We've mentioned this before. Instead of hiring their own inspectors to come out and look at the work the subcontractors do, some contractors say, yep, I'm done, call the city. We come out, we tell them cheaply what's wrong, and they get their contractors back out and fixing it instead of getting their own managers and inspectors to come out and do this. So we're doing a lot of work for the contractors very cheaply. City's really being kind of taken advantage of. That's not something we want to be doing. Our inspectors need to be looking closely instead of being run ragged with every development coming in and having fees looked at, or inspections looked at. And to clarify, this is per trade, so if something's wrong with the electrical, they come in, look at that, and something's wrong with the plumbing, that's two different. It won't automatically hit you up to the $500 if you're like plumbing, electrical, and then the framing. So that's not going to happen, and staff believes that at least the first two inspections, the inspection and the reinspection, we believe that's reasonable for stuff to be looked at once. Tell you what's wrong, you get one more chance to kind of fix it, come back in, still looks good, and then after that, if you're not really taking care of business, that's when the fees start growing pretty high. Under license registrations, just some changes as far as clarifications on general contractor, electrical. Again, these are no cost or all handled by the state. We just want them to come in and check with us so we have them on file. Then our miscellaneous fee, we believe our fee schedule is pretty comprehensive in this area, so we're going to move that clause that say if something's not on there, we're going to come up with a charge for it. The final couple of changes are the sewer fees, proposed to go up 4%. It was recommended in the fee schedule, or fee 5-year rate plan that we did last year. This is going the same. Base rate going from $14.43 to $15.01 per 1,000 gallons, from $4.75 to $4.95. And under the water, originally proposed to go up 4% as well in the rate plan. With the upcoming changes to the SSLGC bond issuances that we just approved, those were not in the rate plan. We had mentioned that it was in the packet. I'm not sure we didn't talk about it very much, but this issuance and the one coming after for construction was not in the original rate plan. Looking at it, staff believes that warrants another 1% increase, so a 5% increase on the water rates. We're also seeing a lot of construction costs rise for our own projects. So in addition to, this is a new project, our existing projects were also a lot higher than when we looked at them 2 years ago for the rate plan. So what that looks like is $14.61 to a block rate to a starting base rate of $15.85, and then the per 1,000 gallons, $3.04 to $3.19. And that's the same $3.19, same blocks for both residential and commercial. Now, I prepped for this and reviewed it, but I can't remember off the top of my head what that translates to for the average water and sewer user. So let me just bring that up in the item here. So what we're talking about for the EMS, I just wanted to go back. The mileage fee, we took the average mileage. We believe the charge for mileage will go up $24 on the average EMS transport bill. And the per diem, per capita change would be $44,000 combined overall between all the cities, split up between them. On average, the residential utility customers would see a $3.57 increase per month under the recommended 5-year plan, and by going up the 1 extra %, we'd add another 50 cents for that. So it would be $4.07. The rate increases are based on an $8,400 gallons of water and 5,000 gallons of sewer. Average commercial user is about 47,900 gallons, and we'll see a rate increase of $33.13 with additional of $3.50 for the SSLGC. So it'd be $36.63. So the proposed monthly increases. And that's city's proposal. If you have any questions, we have representatives from the departments here that help answer them.
We can go back to page number 5. I have a question on the inspection, the reinspection, the $500 on the second reinspection. My concerns here is that recently we had a developer, and he was told that he needed backflows. He put the backflows. You went out there and inspected and said, these are not the ones I wanted. You had to be specific. When you ask for backflow, when he puts one in and you don't specify which one, is it his fault or our fault?
Well, typically it's on the plans on when it's being reviewed on what needs to be put in. And typically those backflows are put in based on the design of the plans.
But is there specific ones that you want on there?
Honestly, I can't speak to that. I'm not a certified inspector.
That's what I'm saying is that, you know, we can't go out there and say we want backflows without, and then coming back and they put them and they're not the same ones. They're backflows, but they're not specific based on what the inspector wanted. We see this happening with GFIs. They put GFIs, no, these are not the ones we wanted. And I have concerns with that. When you go out and inspect a water heater and say, oh, it needs to be fixed, and you walk away, you don't tell them what's wrong with it, what are they going to fix? And then we charge them for the reinspection when we're not specific enough. That's where I have the reinspection fees is what concerns me. When we don't specify what we want, what needs to be fixed, it's our fault, not theirs.
I totally agree with you. On the inspections, when they're actually denied inspections or failed inspections, there's typically comments that explain why they're being failed. We don't always charge in reinspection fees. In many cases, the actual fees that are increasing are not necessarily, we have a lot of production home builders that would like for us to do their quality control. Probably 20% of our inspections are re-inspections. And we'll go out and we'll have a plumber supposed to have done some work. They call in an inspection, and ultimately the plumbing doesn't get done because the super doesn't really know what's happening on the job site. That's the situation that we're looking at to try to deter people from continuing to call in inspections knowing that the work maybe that has been done or haven't been done, but they haven't gone out to check. However, all the inspections that we do are based on the codes that are adopted. Typically, most of those codes are laid out and have explained what it is. We typically don't walk away with people not understanding what they need, and we can always provide that information to them when they ask. And we do put notes, like a lot of times on plans themselves. Sometimes the inspections are on-site field inspections, and typically the inspectors will actually put notes on the plans specific to explaining what they're going to need when they
Okay.
do the inspection.
If it's on the plans, I understand, but when we go and inspect and we fail the inspection, we can't say, look at the plans. I think we need to be more specific.
Yes, sir.
At that point.
Well, we need to look at the specific cases, and
Right.
and we do go to the plans, right? I mean, we use the plans for reinspection.
Yeah, that is what's required,
We
yes.
can make mistakes, but
Yeah, but I'm not saying, no, I'm not, we can't tell someone that we went and inspect, go look at the plans. If we failed it because of something, we have to be specific. We have to say, no, these are not the right backflows. You need this one, and specify which one. These are not the right GFIs. You need to specify what GFIs. You can't say the water heater's busted, it's not working properly, without explaining what needs to be done, whether it needs to be fixed or replaced or whatever it might be. That's what I'm asking for. And that's where I think that these re-inspections are justified if we ourselves provide the specifics when this happens.
But we would refund a reinspection fee if someone came in and complained, and we found that we wouldn't.
Yeah,
We didn't do that,
Many
right?
times we don't charge reinspection fees when we go out. If there's a problem out there and we know they can fix it within the next day or two, we typically will just move the inspection and never charge them a reinspection fee.
And I would be glad to to review any of those cases, right? I mean,
Do we what? Say that?
we'd be glad to review any of those cases.
Absolutely, yeah. If you have specific addresses, we can pull all the records of when we did the inspection and what comments were sent back.
Okay. Council, yes, Mayor Pro Tem Hayward.
I just have a question about the senior center.
Okay.
Senior center, yes, ma'am. Senior center.
Senior Center.
Senior Center.
Question.
Is Lauren here?
She left, then I'll save it for another day. I can save it for the budget meeting. And then I do have one question for the magazine. So as we're looking to increase our fees for advertising, are we going to effectively find someone that can go out and market to get people to come in and want to advertise the magazine if we're going to keep this magazine?
So the position that we have is the marketing and communication specialist position. They're the ones that manage the advertisements. But along with that, they also run our social media. They run flyers and marketing efforts for parks. If library needs flyers, any other department. And so we will still continue to have that position focus on the advertising, but it's not going to be their sole role in the department. We don't have the staff available to set aside a full position for sales.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to, yes?
Yeah, I'll make a
Councilmember
motion
Brown.
to approve 22M40.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Councilmember Davis, second by Councilmember Brown to approve ordinance number 22M40. Any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objections, motion passes. Thank you. All right. Our City Secretary, Brenda Dennis, will provide us with a roll call confirmation on agenda items 1 through 5 and number 7. Ms. Dennis?
Yes, consent agenda items 1 through 2. Motion was made by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hayward. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Gagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed 6-0. Item 3, ordinance number 22B32 on first and final reading. Motion was made by Councilmember Dallas, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Gagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed 6-0. Item number 4, ordinance number 22B33, first and final reading. A motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Gagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed 6-0. Item number 5, ordinance number 22T44 on first reading. The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Gagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed 6-0. Item number 6, no action taken. Item number 7, ordinance number 22M40 on first reading. The motion was made by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, Councilmembers Davis, Whitaker, Dallas, Gagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. All right, we'll move on to item number 8, the monthly update on major projects in progress, capital improvement projects. This information is only information and provided the council packets and available for viewing online at our home site, Schertz.com. So we'll continue. Any further announcements, Dr. Brown?
No further announcements, Mayor.
Council, any possible updates or information packets requested from staff? Council, any possible items you'd like to place on the future agenda? All right. Announcements by council members. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward.
Yes, Mayor. I attended the TML Risk Pool Board meeting. It was held 2 days at the Hotel Emma down in San Antonio. And then I attended on Friday the Hog Wild event and the reception, half a day, and then the reception. That's all.
Okay. Councilmember Davis.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Councilmember Whitaker. None. Councilmember Dalla.
Nothing.
Councilmember Scagliola.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Councilmember Brown.
And again, another shout out to our legal folks. Great event with Hog Wild. Thank you.
And with that, the time is now 7:17. We stand adjourned.